my pleasure to be here this evening. Tonight I'm going to talk to you about what I call a very, very special book. And it's called the Eureka Enigma. And I can put my hand on my heart and I tell you that this is a very, very special and powerful self-help book. It's not only what I would call the cutting edge, it's what I would call the bleeding edge of self-help and personal development, right? Absolutely right at the forefront. And I'm hoping to share some of the concepts and ideas with you that are in that book. It's a very unique book insofar as not many self-help books will tell you some of the truth that I'm going to share with you tonight. And one of the truths is, if you already have a success philosophy that's working for you, you need to stick with that success philosophy, right? Because over 30 years, I've been a published author for 32 years now. Over 30 years, I've let people keep coming back for seminars, keep buying the books, but they don't realise they're already successful. They're making things happen, but they're still searching for more. They don't realise they've already got a formula that's working. If you've got that formula that's working for yourself, stick with it and do what? Do more of the same, okay? Now, that's an interesting little conundrum, because how do we know if we've got a success formula that's working? How do we know that intuitively? What would tell us if we've got something that's working? Well, I'll give you a few clues. One of the things would be, everybody in life has problems. I've had problems all my life, but it's how people go about solving those problems and can solve them quickly enough. So, my question to you is, you will know if you're successful and on the up and up if you're solving your problems quickly enough, okay? If you're not solving your problems quickly enough, there must be something that you can do, and invariably it's with your own resources and something inside yourself that you've got to click inside your brain and get a little paradigm shift that suddenly clicks something in for you. Now, I don't know how many millionaires I've created over the years, but it's lots. And if you have a look at my website, you'll see testimonials on there that start off by saying, I can say categorically that Ron Holland held my hand until I became a millionaire. And there's lots of them. You read it. And world champions. Those testimonials are in writing, signed by the people who I've worked with. Now, we're talking now 2009, right? The Eureka Enigma. Now, what I want to do is ever so quickly give you a potted history, because I didn't just arrive at that. That book's coming out all over the world in September, but I didn't just arrive there. So I want to give you a little potted history, a little bit of fun as well, about how, when I left school, what I did, and some of the funny things that happened. Gosh, this is good. Keep them coming till the end of the story. So I want to go back now to when I was a 14-year-old lad. Now, when I was 14, I was a tiny little guy. I really was. And not like I've lived in America for 6 years, and the lads in America, they're huge. You see little teenagers over there, they've got broad shoulders, they play rugby and soccer and football, American football. They're huge, but little lads in the kind of 50s and 60s were tiny. I was a tiny little lad. And I left school at the legal age of 14. When I walked out there, I didn't have any qualifications. I didn't know anything, and my dad, bless him, he's gone now, but he said, look, in his diplomatic manner, he says, look, he says, you don't know anything, you never got yourself educated while you're at school. He says, now that you're going to go out and make your way in the big wide world, he says, I know you want to travel the world, you want to race motorbikes around the field, you want to do all this crazy stuff, and he says, I don't really have a problem with that, but he says, what you've got to do is get yourself a trade. Once you've got yourself a trade and become a craftsman, I don't care what you do, once you've finished that apprenticeship, you can then do whatever it is you want to do in life. So I thought, right, I'll become a bricklayer. So I went down the local bricklayer's yard, this tiny little lad, and I saw these three big guys, and they said, what do you want? I said, I've come to be a bricklayer. And they looked at me and they burst out laughing. They said, you can't become a bricklayer. I said, why not? He says, well, bricklayers are big, strapping, great lads, and he says, you can't be a bricklayer. So I kind of walked out of there a bit dejected, and I thought, well, I'll become a carpenter. So I knocked on all of these doors trying to become an apprentice carpenter. Had loads of interviews, but nobody took me seriously and I didn't get a job. But a friend of the family, I'll never forget it, Joe Vaughan, he says, I've lined up a proper apprenticeship for you. You become apprentice carpenter. So I went round there, and in those days, right, you had a master. And I was the apprentice, and he said, well, I can't sign you up. Yeah, you have to do a year's probation first. Now, in those days, like I am still now, totally dyslexic. I don't know if any of you are dyslexic, totally dyslexic. And particularly when I'm under pressure, I get all my words muddled and it's terrible. So I've been working there a year for the master, as this kind of leading up to the apprenticeship, and then suddenly it's the day for me to sign my proper indentures, right? And this was a very, very serious thing. We had one of those big quill pens, you know, I mean, I can't believe the lark doing this for the master. My dad was there, and I kind of clocked it. I thought, I've been working here a year now, and I'm going to sign up a proper apprenticeship. I wonder if they'll backdate the agreement a year, shorten my apprenticeship. Right, made sense, doesn't it? So I said to the master, my dad was there, I said, will it be backdated? I said, no. I said, what I mean, I said, I've been working here a year. I said, will it be backdated? Oh, no. And my dad says, no. He says, what the boy means, he says, will it be backdated? And the master says, no. He says, it's not going to be backdated, just sign the thing. So I signed up as an apprentice carpenter, proper apprenticeship. No, wasn't backdated. Okay. Now, ever so quickly into my apprenticeship, 14, then 16, started, told you as a young lad, passionate about motorbikes, still am. My motorcycle racing career consumed me. That's all I was interested in. But you can't sustain a motorcycle racing career on the money from an apprentice carpenter. It doesn't work like that. It's just not enough money. I needed tons of money to buy all the little bits and pieces I need for my motorbikes. So on the building sites, various building sites, there was various bits of scrap metal, copper, lead, brass, all sorts of non-ferrous metals. And I used to gather these up. And every week I used to take a big bag into the scrap metal dealer, get a big load of money, and that money sustained my motorcycle racing career. The day I finished my apprenticeship, my carpentry apprenticeship, I set up my first motorcycle shop. Okay? Now, here's an interesting thing. As a young man, I couldn't wait to get out of that apprenticeship. And I wrote up on this shop, Ron Holland Motorcycles. And a load of friends who knew my passion for motorbikes helped me fill it up. We started doing repairs and it started to grow. And I'll never forget, one day this guy rolled up, quite a lot older than me, and he says, I can't believe it. He says, you've got your name above your shop, you're a young guy, you've got your own motorbike shop. He says, I want to introduce you to a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Ever heard of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill? Now, you know I didn't learn anything at school, and I was a very, very slow reader, and I confess, no problem. So I thought I'd read this book, but I didn't understand what it was. I thought it was an instruction book. So it took me ages to read the blessed thing, because every time I opened the page up and there was an instruction to do something, I put the book down and carry out the instruction. So I opened it up and it says, write on a big bit of paper, quitters never win, and winners never quit. So I put the book down, wrote this up, then I went back to it. He says, now, once you've written it up, stick it above your bed where you see it every night. All right. So I put this sign up above my bed, then I pick the book up again, right? Next page it says, set yourself up a mastermind group, right? So my mastermind group, all I had was my mechanics and my salesman. So I lined them all up and I said to them, you're my mastermind group. And they all fell about the floor laughing, right? This one guy, I'd never forget, he laid on the floor and he kicked his legs up and down like that, hooting and mastermind group. That was the funniest thing they've ever heard.